Welcome to Politics Done Right on KPFT. I am your host, Egberto Williams. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Give me a call at 713-526-5738. That is 713-526-KPFT. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Williams. Let us engage. It is politics done right.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Williams, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today. Guess what? Guess what, my dear friend?
What's going on? What's going on?
We just had an accident with our broadcasting, but you know what? I think I took care of that. I think I'm taking care of that. What do you think?
I think you got it, man. I think you got it. Absolutely.
You think ultimately I'm going to have it?
Absolutely.
Okay, well, I hope so. Folks that are listening out there, let me know if the audio is just fine, because you know how that goes every so often. You know, sometimes what happens is we have it, we don't, we have it. So how's your day going, my dear friend?
Absolutely great, man. I mean, I'm ready for Tuesdays are now my favorite day. I get to be a part of your show and then get to my show. I mean, I hear Jazz Latino earlier in the day. I mean, this is one of my favorite days.
Hey, you know something, man?
This is a very multicultural day for KPFT, by the way.
Tell me about it.
Jazz Latino, your show, Generation Radio, Nuestra Palabra. I mean, it's super cultural. It's super cultural Tuesdays.
But you know what that means? That means it's actually representing what?
The diversity of KPFT.
And the diversity of KPFT,
Absolutely.
brother. The diversity of KPFT. Hey, Nabu, I need you to do me one thing.
Absolutely.
Give us a little framing of all the things that we're going through so that I can get this stuff set up right, because I'm having a few issues real quickly.
Absolutely. So, just to let folks know out there, there are a number of shows that Egberto loves on KPFT. So I'm just going to go briefly over some of those wonderful programs, such as Think Wing Radio, and that's every Monday with hosted by Mike Honig from 3 to 4 p.m. And then also on Monday, you can join Dwayne Bradley and his crew for Open Journal, a great talk show from 6 to 7. Also, don't forget, you can also check out shows like my show, Generation Radio, which will be on after this program from 4 to 6, and that's a mix of world music. And then on Wednesday nights from 10 to 11, Really But Not Really, featuring Rosemont and Marcel, and that's from 10 to 11. And Jazz Latino, that's earlier today. That's every Tuesday from noon to 2 with the host Juan Flores, and I believe that's it. Am I right?
You're correct.
All
Let
right.
me tell you something. You know what? I love KPFT. I just went ahead and I had some problems.
Wow. Are you re-recording me? Is that what's going on?
I don't know where that's coming from. There we go.
Okay.
Let me tell you what I love with KPFT. I just got into a bind. You know, we go ahead and we simulcast this stuff on Facebook, on YouTube Live, on Twitch, on Facebook, everywhere, you know. And I got into a bind because I had all the networks set up just perfectly. And what do you think happened? For some reason, the whole thing started to feed back on me. And guess what? We have Nabu in the studio.
That's right.
And he was able to cover for me. Thank you so kindly.
Yeah, no problem.
Folks, we are going to have a great show for you today. And let me tell you, first of all, what this show is going to be about today. Because there's an issue going on now. What happened earlier this week is a problem that concerned me mightily, because it is something that we are going to all have to watch going forward as things move along. And it goes as follows, folks. This is important, and I would like you to listen profoundly. There is a movement on. Progressives worked very, very hard. We worked very hard to go ahead and get a blue wave, a wing of progressives out there to run. Not only did they run, but they won. And what do you think is starting to happen? What I call the grand sabotage. And it is something that we have to be cognizant of. It is something that we have to be prepared for. It is something that we have to be ready for, because here is the deal. All this we promised. The reason we had the throughput, the amount of folk that voted, who voted, the reason we got that is we made a whole lot of promises to a whole lot of people that had just simply given up on elections. They had given up on voting. They had given up on everything. You know what they said? They said, you know what? Egberto, and not only Egberto, they said this to thousands. They said this to thousands of people out there that are constantly, that were hitting the pavement, that were trying to get other people to be involved. They said, you know what? We're going to try this one more time. We're going to try this one more time. And what I mean by try this one more time is we are going to give electoral politics one more chance. And you know why they did that? Because a whole lot of progressives ran around Harris County. A whole lot of progressives ran around the entire darn country and said, folks, stay with us. We are going to make a difference. We promise. We are going to make a difference. And what do I hear? I start hearing about this thing called centrists. I start hearing about this staying to the middle. I start hearing about the Democratic Party is moving too much to the left. We start hearing about all these confounded issues. Folks, we cannot fall into the trap one more time. We simply cannot do it. So that is what I am going to start the show up. Well, I'm going to talk about that on the show. But before I do that on the show, I need to really talk about an important subject that many Americans seem not to care about, a particular subject that I need to talk about. So here we go. It is about Venezuela. It is about Venezuela. I'll probably get a whole lot of pushback for what I'm going to say, but I must say it as a person coming from Central America who understands how things work in Central America. So I ask you to please hear me out. I ask you to please listen. Let's remember the election of 2016. Let's remember that it was one iffy election. Let's remember that we all knew that Russia played a part in this election. We also know that Hillary Clinton won the majority of the vote. Not Donald Trump, but Hillary Clinton. I want to ask you guys a simple question. Suppose, just suppose, what we got was Angela Merkel, the Prime Minister of Germany, saying, we do not recognize Donald Trump because your election was shady. And since it was a shady election, we are going to decide to make Nancy Pelosi, who is the next in line because the election was shady, we are going to make Nancy Pelosi the President of the United States. How would every American citizen react to such a reality? They would complain about intervention into our politics, even though most Americans are cognizant that we had a fraudulent election. Well, Nicolas Maduro, many say that the election that he participated in was a fraudulent election. Now, because many say the election that he participated in was fraudulent, that Americans and the many states in the European Unions and others can say, we do not recognize Maduro as the president of Venezuela, and instead we recognize Juan Guaido. None of us would accept that. But we want the Venezuelan people to accept that America and its allies are going to tell the possibly fraudulent or not elected president of Venezuela that somehow they will recognize somebody else. That is not only the height of hypocrisy, that is not only the height of imperialism, that is not only the height of do as I say, don't necessarily do what we do, and it is completely wrong. We have been told much about Venezuela. We have maligned Hugo Chavez. We have maligned Nicolas Maduro. Now, I don't know too much about Nicolas Maduro with regards to what he's done. I mean, I know that he is nowhere as skilled as Hugo Chavez was. But Hugo Chavez, even as he brought quite a large percentage of his population out of poverty, a large amount of his population educated, even as he's done that, America has maligned him, and there is a reason America maligns Venezuela. It's a reason America is so interested in Venezuela and what it does, and not in the Congo or Syria or all these other places where real rights violations are occurring. It's because it is sitting on the largest mountain, the largest lake of oil in the world. Venezuela is the country sitting on the most oil of the world, and it also has large reserves of gold. And we are and to have that under the auspices of a democratic socialist regime is unheard of for countries who believe in unfettered capitalism. And the reason for that is simple. What happens when a democratic socialist government is allowed to have the use of their own natural resources is that it would get distributed more equitably, and those in power, the plutocracy, would be unable to pilfer those resources for a few. Folks, we don't hear these things on national TV. We don't hear these things on regular TV. What we hear on TV is an indoctrinative message. A message to indoctrinate you into believing that somehow every government that is not a capitalist government is an evil socialist, or actually not socialist, but communist government that is anti-democratic. I tell you, a lot of these countries are much more democratic than the United States. So what if you have freedom along with nothing, with no resources, with no monies, with no access to success? Freedom in its own right ain't freedom. So what I'd like most or all folks to do is not simply listen to what you hear on TV, not simply listen to all the fallacies you hear about other countries that are attempting to take care of their people, but learn about them not from imperial capitalist type papers who all sing from the same hymnal, but who are willing to explore. So what I want to give to most of you, to all of you out there, is other sources. If you want to hear about Latin America and what's going on in Latin America, consider going to telesurtv.com, or I don't remember if .com or .org, but the name of the other internet paper or online paper, Telesur. It's a Spanish paper, but you can get it in English as well. Please be sure to check these out, because, my dear brothers and sisters, we have been lied to about Venezuela from its inception. There's a piece that I did on Venezuela a few weeks ago that I'm going to re-cue it, because folks need to understand that you always have to ask the question. Venezuela has always been a rich country. Until Hugo Chavez came the wealth was not shared with many in the country. And you have to ask yourself, how comes that wasn't a human rights violation as far as America was concerned in intervening in that country? How comes? The reason why was Carlos Andres Perez and all the other figureheads that were there before were pawns of Shell and Exxon who pilfered the natural resources of the country at a cheap price to enrich a few Venezuelans as they enrich themselves to sell cheap oil for much on the world market. So, my friend, please, please do not just listen to the news you hear on TV here. Please learn about what's really going on in Venezuela. Okay, now I got my Venezuela. Oh, I want to add one. Did you want to add something, Nabu? Okay, I want to add one other thing before I get busy. I want to say that what I'm watching in Venezuela already occurred in another Latin American country, the country from whence I come. Okay? Panama in 1989 was invaded by Bush #1 under the pretext to arrest one man, Manuel Antonio Noriega. Why? Because they claim he was laundering money and also selling drugs to the United States. In other words, he was a capitalist. In other words, he was just a very good capitalist. America loved its drugs, and a capitalist was there to provide the supply and make sure that the capital needed to do the supply went all in the right places. That's all Noriega was, a capitalist. Now, here's the thing, my brothers and sisters. This is very important. Before, the same things that Trump is doing right now is the same thing they did to Panama. Let me tell you what they did. Panama uses something, our currency is called the balboa. The balboa is indexed to the dollar. So 1 balboa is equal to $1. America freezed the dollar in Panama. And in freezing the dollar, it put the country in chaos. There was no fluidity in the country at all. The expectation was that they would force Panamanians to overthrow Noriega by squeezing them economically. That almost never works. But that's what they were hoping to do. And guess what? It did not work. The people learned to do some ingenious things. They turned their checks into money. They went to a barter system, and they did all kinds of things to survive. And survive they did for months. When that didn't work, Daddy Bush decided that he had to invade the country. And he invaded the country for one man, Manuel Antonio Noriega. And in invading the country, according to the United States, about 1,000 Panamanians got killed. According to UN, between 3,000 and 4,000 Panamanians got killed. We know the area. I know the exact areas where bombs were dropped. And I mean, it was war. It was war against a non-existent army. Over 10,000 Panamanians died. Why? They wanted to arrest one rich Panamanian capitalist that they did know that they loved no longer. And several Americans died. Military guys died as well. Folks, I need you to understand what goes on here. I lived it. I lived the lies. I lived the hypocrisy. I lived all of this. So please understand, this is real. Now, today's subject, the title of the show today is Progressives Can Only Succeed If the Move Left in Spite of the Establishment. We can only succeed if we move left in spite of the establishment. The subtitle is Progressives Were the Drivers of the Blue Wave. We cannot cede the left rail to the centrists, but bend the whole damn track to the left. Why do I say bend the entire track to the left? We have to remember there's a left rail in our politics and a right rail in our politics. But what happens, what you see in rails, they all move in the same direction. So when we talk about the lefty and righty or the left or the right or Republicans or Democrats, we're just talking about gradations of what the plutocracy wants, because those tracks are all going in the same direction. If you notice, when we got Obamacare, the private insurance company stock went up. All the medical stocks went up. So here we go. We gave insurance to everybody, or to a whole lot of people. And everybody said, oh, that would destroy the economy. That would destroy the economy. But guess what happened? The stocks for everybody else got up. You know why? Because when they sat down around that table to negotiate Obamacare and all the other things they negotiate, you know who they take care of first? They make sure that the wards of the plutocracy are taken care of first. Businesses are taken care of first. Only if and only whatever policy you pass takes care of the businesses within your plutocracy, only then can a bill pass. And that is why, in as great as Nancy Pelosi was in getting Obamacare passed, we still have to come to the conclusion and the realization that the only reason it passed is that all stakeholders, absent the people of the United States, were made whole. I want you to remember that, brothers and sisters. Even with Obamacare, that great policy that we love, it was only passed because all the stakeholders, the insurance companies, the hospitals, the testing facilities, everybody that except you were made whole. In other words, that's why all of their stocks went up. Remember that. Their stocks didn't go down. Obamacare wasn't bad for them. Their stocks didn't go down. So now we have a lot of progressives that are populating the Congress. And we have everybody now talking about, let's go centrists. Let's be moderate. Don't get too much to the left now, even though most Americans are to the left. Don't tell them they're to the left. Just ask them what they want. And we progressives want to give them what they want. So folks, let's be clear. The blue wave in most areas was a result of progressive groups busting their butts to get voters. And they did. But to get those voters to come out, they had to promise results. We cannot allow the same old guard with their old centrist policies to reign. Progressives must rule unapologetically. Again, progressives must rule unapologetically. So, before I get to the program, however, we already, Nabu kind of covered for me earlier and gave us all the programs that we talk about. So I'm going to skip that section and just remind you of one thing. Check out our full schedule at kpft.org, where you can find programming from music to politics to medicine to the eclectic, because KPFT is a listener-supported public community radio station. So please remember that if you like what you hear, visit kpft.org and ensure that we remain a strong, viable community radio station that provides news, programming, and information not influenced by whom? No other than the corporatocracy. So folks, follow us at Politics Done Right. Or go ahead and follow, hashtag us at Politics Done Right at Egberto Willies, which is my Twitter handle. Let's go ahead and make sure to go to politicsdoneright.com. Stay informed. That's what we do. But folks, do you know what time it is? And you know what? I don't think I have my music for which time it is. I do!
It's time for the weekly blog post.
Okay, the weekly blog post. You know what? I started to write the weekly blog post, then I postponed it, and then I started to write it again. So what I want to tell you is the first few paragraphs of the blog post is written. The rest is going to be coming directly out of my head. So here we go. The title of the blog post is Centrists Have Nothing to Offer the Poor and Dwindling Middle Class. That's it. The plutocracy is starting to activate the centrists. Ironically, it's coming from places one would think unlikely. And here's what I mean by that. Former CEO of Starbucks, Howard Schultz, is considering running for president as an independent centrist. Why? This staunch Democrat believes the Democratic Party is moving too far to the left. Look, I have supported Starbucks for years. I mean, I go there for coffee every day. I sit down. There are times I spend 7-8 hours in Starbucks. I know the baristas. They're great people. We talk politics. A lot of people come in there just to shoot the bull. We sit down there and we have great conversations, both left and right. I mean, we have a good time there because it's a place where we can exchange ideas. I purchased their overpriced coffee because I wanted to reward a company whose CEO so believed in social values that he gave even his part-time employees health care, education, and much more. He did more for his employees than most companies did or even do. Progressives want at least that for all employees in America. In fact, they want single-payer Medicare for all, pay it forward college, and more. In other words, they want good social policies that countries much less prosperous than ours are providing to their citizens. Now, the question we have to ask is, how can a person who established such a company, how can someone who established such a company now begin to says he may run for president as a centrist, and not only as a centrist, but somebody who claims that the Democratic Party is moving too much to the left. My question is as follows. Are you kidding me? How is the Democratic Party somehow moving too much to the left when the policies that Democrats, progressives are now running on are the policies that most Americans want? How can that then be considered too far to the left? And those are the issues that we want to talk about today. That is the issue I want you to call in today about. The telephone number is 713-526-5738. All lines are open. 713-526-5738. I would love to hear about not only what I'm talking about, the centrist issues. I would love to hear us talk about maybe for those of you who don't necessarily agree with me on Venezuela, I would love to hear your point of view as well. But all lines are open right now. And let me tell you, folks, we have been having some telephone problems. So if for some reason you are unable to get in, just please try again, because we will answer the phone. 713-526-5738. All lines are open. We don't have any callers yet. Are the phones working, or are they up or not? Okay, good. Yeah, 713-526-5738. You know, this morning I got up, and as I was reading some other pieces of paper, I think one's ringing. As it turns out, I read an article on The Hill. And the article on The Hill said, guess what? They're talking now about primarying Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. To which I had a simple answer. Yeah, why not? I would love for them to primary Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Folks, if for some reason we hang up on you, please note that we're having telephone problems. That is why we're going to need your support at the next fund drive, because we must get a new system, because this is just not working. This is just not working right all of the time. So again, the telephone number, if we drop you, please just call us back. We just dropped another call. 713-526-5738. Just call back and eventually we will get you on. 713-5. We just got about 3 callers at the same time and suddenly it dropped again. It's a phone issue. We will get that fixed in the long run. Let me just go ahead and pick up number 1. Line number 1, who do I have the honor of speaking with? Okay, let's see. Line number 1, you're hot. Anybody say hello and give me your name and I'll just tell you you're the one on air.
Hello, Carl.
Carl, how you doing? Talk to me.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment on a couple things. I was really glad to hear you explain Venezuela.
Thank you.
And as far as the Starbucks guy goes, you know, yeah, he's another billionaire, and can you trust billionaires to support the middle class and poor? And then also, but at least he made it himself. You know? But I mean, I heard that he might have gotten some financing from even the Trumps. So
Right.
I don't know. It needs some more investigating there behind him. But I mean, anything's better than what we have now. They ought to go in and drag him out of there.
No, look, anybody that gets elected is likely to be better than Trump. I have no doubt about that. What I do want to stress, however, is he confuses me. I'm completely taken aback by Schultz. And the reason I'm taken aback is Schultz understands social programs. Schultz understands it because all during the Obamacare debate, he was one of those guys that he was actually for single payer. He was one of those guys that were for all these different policies. And somehow, one of you dropped. Go ahead and call back. And
Can I bring up one other thing before I go?
Sure.
As far as the elections going in this country, this is like the second really, really bad one we've had in my time, and it's disgusting. And when the Electoral College is obviously not serving the public,
right?
And until we can get that fixed, and some of the other totally bizarre, like Citizens United, really address those head on and get them put behind us, we're going to stay messed up around
You're
here.
absolutely right, and that's why there are some programs out there to work on. I'll talk about those another time. But thank you so kindly for calling, Carl. Okay.
Thank you for your work.
Great. You have a wonderful day now. Okay, let's go to Chris on line number 3. Come on in, Chris.
Hey, Egberto, great topic today.
Thank you, sir.
So the issue with the centrists is you were bringing up the point that they don't represent what the majority of people support.
Exactly.
So why do we call them centrists?
That something, that guy that does the wordsmithing for the Republicans. What is his name? Shuntz. I can't remember his name right
I know
now.
who you're talking about. I can picture him.
Right. Okay. He knows about word and how to do words. Right. So here's the funny thing about it. They do that because if they say centrist, most Americans want to believe that they are centrists, okay? Because when you talk about being centrist, it makes you look non-confrontational. It makes you look like a moderate. Nobody wants to be considered as someone crazy or on the left or the right or anything like that. The average Americans want to consider themselves mainstream. So when saying centrist, and they automatically say, okay, I am a centrist, and then they go along with what the centrists put out. The truth of the matter...
Exactly. It's a false definition. It's a false spectrum that we're operating within. The Frank Luntz, that's his name.
Luntz, exactly. You have it right.
He looks like a hobbit. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so that's a Republican, though, doing branding, and then the spectrum predates him.
Yes.
I think we need to update things because you're correct. When you call them a centrist Democrat, you're empowering them when really we should just be having a clear defined line between the corporatists and the populists.
Exactly.
Are you for the people or are you for corporations?
Exactly. And,
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Chris. I'm sorry.
I was going to say there's a range of issues like lobbyists. People are disgusted with lobbying across the board, across the entire spectrum.
Right.
And many other issues I'm sure you're aware of.
Yes.
And if we just have that defining line, are you for the people or do you think corporations are people?
Exactly.
As one of the points, the pressure points.
Exactly right. And that is so important. So what we have to do as progressive is bust that centrist label up. The people that are really centrist are the progressives. I mean, the issue is that we have moved so far to the right that things that are centered actually look like, oh my God, they are really, off the wall. It's not the truth. And what we have to do is start talking policy to people. And whenever, when let's give an example. We've had HR 676, Medicare for All, on the books for over a decade. Okay. And now that we have a large base, a 40% or more base of progressives in Congress, there is the wherewithal to really start turning that bill into law. Okay?
But we couldn't do it before because lobbyists.
Exactly. And the thing about it is we're still there. They're already working on a so-called Medicare for all bill, just not 676. And that worries a whole lot of people because even the fairly progressive woman who is on the team leading that bill, the new Medicare for all bill, she is one of the words she said is one of the reasons they're doing it behind the door is because they want to bring all stakeholders on board first. What are you talking about? The major stakeholder is the people. And that is what we always have to say. We have to make sure these progressives that we elect, we have to make sure they don't turn. We have to make sure to keep them accountable. And that's what we intend to do. Thank you so kindly for calling, Chris.
Okay, have a great one.
You too now. Okay, let's go to Tori, line 4. Come on in, Tori.
Hi, Egberto.
Talk to me.
Got a lot to say about Venezuela.
Talk to me.
I started a Venezuela solidarity group back when the U.S. tried to take out Chavez back in the day. And since then, Venezuela, it's still getting high prices for oil.
Yes.
And they put a lot of money into their military. And first the Russians and the Chinese came in and made huge investments. I think the Chinese have $65 billion invested in Venezuela. And the U.S. doesn't.
Right.
And so what I'm getting at here is that Chavez built up the military, has all kind of high-tech weapons.
You're dropping out
jets,
sometimes.
To defend the country with.
Right.
And the U.S. just doesn't want that oil anymore. It's almost a burden, just like the Middle East. The oil prices are down, and there's not that much incentive for the U.S. to go in. Other than that they want to invest in other sectors of the economy, and meaning rip it off,
right.
suck it dry. Like
Let me tell you a little bit about their oil, though. They have some nasty oil, some of the nasty oil in Venezuela. But what they do in the United States, and specifically the Gulf Coast, is they need the Venezuelan oil to cut it with the sweet oil here, the oil from Texas and other things. I was just reading about that. So they do want the Venezuelan oil. But you're partially, you said an important thing that I don't know if folks realize how dangerous it is. The amount of billions that China has invested in Latin America is huge. And what that means is China has an interest in that area. Don't think they are going to take it lightly for the United States to just go in there and blow stuff up when in effect, what they'll be doing is blowing up a whole lot of Chinese investment. And so I mean, there's a whole lot of other things that matter that we're not looking at here in the United States because nobody's really writing about it. But the truth of the matter is, if you go to Telesur, you'll realize that, oh my God, China has so much invested. Why do we blow stuff up around the world? Because American business have a lot invested, and when they have a lot invested, the paid American military, the one that we all use, blow stuff up to take care of our businessmen. That's the same thing. What do you think China is going to do if America attempts to really malign or do that to Nicolas Maduro?
Yeah, and then the other thing is I was a huge fan of Chavez.
I was too.
He started to make some bad decisions about the time he got cancer.
Right.
And was going through a lot of problems. And the worst decision was handpicking Maduro.
Right.
And it's moved from, what he did at the very beginning was that he broadened the Democratic base in Venezuela. He brought in the rural people, people of color that had never been part of the political process in Venezuela. And that base thanks him for it, especially out in the countryside. They're not pissed off like the urban people are because they've done a lot of land reform. And it's been good for the people out in the campo.
Right.
And the problem is that it's, just like Animal Farm, this is, George Orwell all over again.
Right.
People become, they go from this democratic, very beautiful horizontal beginnings into something more hierarchical. Right. And, he starts handpicking the next leader and the next leader. And now, Maduro looks a little bit more like Trump than he does like Chavez.
Exactly.
Bringing in his family and all these corrupt friends. And what's happening, and my Venezuela friends that are, part of the Chavista Bolivarianismo, they're telling me that he's preventing this party from being Democratic at like the primary level. And so it's very similar to what happened with Clinton here, you know, screwing Bernie. You know, it's like a lot of the more horizontalist type socialists are getting edged out. And because of the job situation, you know, and because of the corruption and nepotism, people are getting their jobs through that party.
Now, let me just interrupt you here.
If they set anybody off, they lose their job, and then you can't eat.
Tori, let me
so
say,
nobody's sticking their neck up.
Tori, let me stop you for a second, but because first of all, you're right about, you know, the corruption that's in there. My thing though is more a legal issue as far as we don't have the right to go in there that way. That's an internal matter that they need to solve themselves, not for us to solve. But and I am, you know, I'm no fan of Nicolas Maduro because I do think he's a corrupt dictator. No, I mean not a corrupt dictator, but a corrupt president. I was a fan of Chavez. I think Chavez made some mistakes, but a lot of mistakes Chavez made as well was the amount of pressure that we were putting on Chavez as continuously trying to overthrow him. It turned
revolutionaries usually don't make good governments. I mean, Chavez was great, but he was educated as a military person. He wasn't educated on all these other things that you need to be a good president. Finance, insurance, you know, all these other.
But a good leader knows to get good people. I mean, you know.
And then Maduro just, you know, he was like the head of the bus drivers union or something. I mean, this is no qualification to be a president. It's, you know, he's a
Tori, I don't think we have a disagreement. I'm with you, but you know, we need to remember how to act, though. But Tori, I got to go to the next call. But thank you so kindly for calling, my brother.
See you then.
Take care. Okay, let's go to let's go to Tag line 2. Come on in, Tag.
Hi, Egberto. How you doing?
All right, how you doing?
I'm great. Thank you. Beautiful day.
Yes, it is.
Yep. You know, the centrist issue.
Yes.
It's the same thing we heard with Bernie against Clinton.
Yes.
You know, and the same results will happen, I think people have been saying. But I don't know why people would fall for that year in and year out. You know, it's a sad situation.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I think they fall for it because a lot of times what progressives sort of work in a very systematic manner. In other words, we do X and we think if we do X, it is fixed. In other words, we got these people elected because they said they were going to do X, and we believe that they're going to do X, and we don't apply pressure thereafter. It was like when we elected Obama, right? Obama had all these pretty words to use, and we got him there, and then we went to sleep. We didn't put the pressure. There are two things that we did. One, most went to sleep, and the others, like myself, instead of pressing Obama as hard as we needed to, we were protecting Obama as hard as we needed to. And it really turns out that Obama didn't need protection because the presidency wasn't Obama. The presidency was just the presidency. And we needed to have kept the pressure on to force him to make decisions on either side. Because go ahead, sir.
No, you know, it's amazing how sometimes presidents will come out and try to explain to us how things work. And Eisenhower did when he told us to beware of the military-industrial complex.
Right.
You know, that was a very
prescient,
stern warning.
Yes.
And also Obama told us something very prolific, is that, you know, I can't do this by myself. You have to force me to do it or keep pushing to have it done.
Yes.
And we didn't do it, like you say. You know, I just want to say one quick thing about Venezuela, and then I'm out your ear.
Yes.
Okay? You know, if you have any doubts about the U.S. policy in Venezuela, look at who they sent down there, Elliot Abrams.
Thank you, from Iran Contra.
Holy smokes.
Yes.
You know, you look at that guy's related in bed with Roger Stone and been in the dirty tricks for a long time.
Yes.
You know, that is very sad to even think that we would, you know, dispatch somebody like that down there to try to straighten this situation out. That's just going to make it worse.
You're absolutely right, sir. Look, thank you so kindly for calling Intag, all right?
Yeah, take care, Egberto. We'll see you soon.
Thank you, buddy. Bye-bye. Okay, let's go to Scott, line number 5. Come on in, Scott.
Thank you. You were talking about giving elections another chance. I don't think that's enough. I think we need more Democrats who vote in every election, no matter what.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Now, I came from Republican background, and so I grew up under the idea of voting in every election. I think the Republican Party must have been promoted that a lot of times. I've heard Republicans declare they vote in every election. Now, I have been working for the last 45 or so years promoting GLBT rights, and often I did not have the public behind me, but I have never backed down.
Well, you know what, and we are happy that you never back down. You're the type of progressives that we need, the ones that are going to be out there doing all they need to do. But I tell you what, thank you so kindly for calling, Scott.
Well, I have something. Just look ahead. The House can pass good bills,
right?
But the Senate is sure to block them, and the President is sure to block them. So it's going to take persistence.
Exactly.
I say, generally, in American politics, only the most persistent people get what they want out of politics.
Sir, from your ears to America's ear. I mean, from your mouth to America's ears. Thank you so kindly, Scott.
Thank you.
You have a wonderful day. Okay, looks like somebody that I better get in here. Tommy, come on in. Tommy, my favorite Republican. Talk to me, brother.
Hey, I don't know much about Venezuela. That's your topic today.
Yes.
But I just wanted to, aside from all that, I just wanted to call and thank you on behalf of myself and Eddie V at Party 103. We had Egberto on my show. I do an internet radio show on party103radio.com. Egberto, you were awesome, and I love that we talked and didn't argue not once. We had good laughs, good times. It was awesome, man, and I really appreciate you coming on my show.
Well, first of all, I want to introduce you to my audience, or our audience, not my. What am I talking about?
Yeah,
this
exactly.
is KPFT. I'm a democratic socialist. How dare I say my audience? Our audience. No. You are the one who say my. I don't say my. I say our KPFT's audience. What a mistake. I guess, you know what? You rubbed off on me, Tommy. I don't know if I need to call party. What is it? Give me your call letters. What is it again?
It's www.party103radio.com.
Right. I need to stop coming on that station. I did it one time. I may not come again because you're turning me into an individualist. I can't do that anymore. But anyhow, but I had a great time at TRC. But let me tell you something that is important, man. Folks, this is what I talk about when we talk to each other. One of the things Tommy said on air when I was on the show is that he is a great supporter of KPFT. And the thing that got me that he said I disagree with almost every single show at KPFT, but I support KPFT because I like to have the conversation and hear it. So for that, I think you deserve a hell of a lot of respect, Tommy, and I appreciate that out of you, brother.
Yeah, well, thank you. Yeah, like I told you, how can you disagree with something if you don't give it a chance?
Absolutely.
But in disagreeing, I'm just not the type to argue. You know, if you disagree, then just agree to disagree. I know that sounds cliche,
right?
But it's true. I mean, I enjoyed having you on the show. You seem very comfortable. No pressure. You know, like I said, at the end of the whole thing, I still disagree.
I know, but you know what? Like I told you, Tommy, like I told you, you still disagree. But you will not after we speak a few more times.
Oh, no, you said yet.
I said yet.
I haven't changed. You haven't changed my mind.
Yet. That's what I said,
no,
yet.
It's going to be a long yet.
All right, no problem, my brother. Hey, listen, you keep up the good work, Tommy, and you make sure and keep giving to KPFT, and make sure some of your other Republicans do, okay?
Yeah, I sure will. Real quick, if anybody wants to hear the interview I did with Egg Burrito, you can find me on Facebook at Tommy Cruz, TOMMYCRUZ. It's like Tom Cruise, but the Hispanic version.
All right, Tommy Cruz, thank you for calling, brother.
Tom Cruise, I came on Mission Impossible.
Okay, hermano, tómalo con calma. Te hablo más tarde. Have a good one.
Thank you, man.
Ciao, man.
Right, bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, let's go to line 5. Come on in, Edison. And then Johnny after. Edison, you're on. Edison, you're mute, maybe? No? Okay, Edison 1, Edison 2, Edison 3. I'm going to Johnny. Come on in, Johnny.
Maybe Edison couldn't take listening to that guy. Don't blame him.
Come on, Johnny. Be kind, Johnny.
I'm being very kind, trust me. Listen, I have a guest request for you. I don't know if it's possible.
Let me hear it.
Have you ever interviewed the author of Confessions of an Economic Hitman, John Perkins?
No, but I'm willing to interview him.
Yeah, even if you can get him over the telephone, that'd be great. I'm sure he's available.
What is his name?
Especially if you let him know you're interested in work with his schedule. Maybe he's busy and he can get you in a month or two. That's still good. Better than not.
What's his name?
John Perkins.
Okay.
Perkins.
The reason I said I'll take it off of the tape. Well, Johnny, I'll consider that, my friend. Oh, phone's ringing. Yeah, I'll consider that, my friend.
The reason why I request that is because it's very relevant to this conversation that you've been having today and in recent weeks with the talk about Venezuela and all the propaganda that's going out about them.
Right.
He could explain very well because he had first-hand knowledge about that.
Well, good. I will.
He was a former CIA guy.
Uh-huh.
His family's been around since one of the original families in America.
Right.
He was recruited by the CIA straight out of college.
Good.
His story is fascinating. And like I said, desperate people do desperate things.
Yes, sir.
And if people want to understand the motivation behind Maduro, what he's doing and how he does,
right?
It's not too unlike what happened with Fidel Castro in Cuba.
Right.
Fidel Castro started out great, but as time went on, and he was getting pressure, assassination attempts all the time, that affects your psyche.
And you get
Especially
paranoid,
if you're a tiny island nation, 90 miles off the coast of a behemoth bully like the United States.
Right.
It's only understandable.
Right.
And consider this last fact. Most of their economy is based on oil.
Right.
And because of the embargo that we have on them, denying them access to their own income that Citgo generates for them.
And you know what,
okay, you're literally starving the Venezuelan people.
Johnny, that's the same
more
thing.
More than $10 billion a year.
Johnny.
And what does this guy from the White House want to do? He wants to offer them a trinket, $20 million to fund their version of the Contras in Venezuela. This is a prelude to war, and we have got to stop it.
Johnny, you're correct. I got to let you go because I'm running on things, but thank you for making that point. Very important point to make. And we think about how much money the bankers are making on their money, and it's not going to go back to them. Thank you so kindly,
Johnny. $20 million, that's a speck in the ointment compared to the $10+ billion that are being denied of their own money.
Thank you, brother.
What would you do if Russia and China denied the United States of their income?
They would go to war. Got to go, Johnny. Thank you so kindly for calling as usual, brother.
That's right. It's not always simple as it seems, does it?
All right, brother. You're right. Okay, let's go. Roberto. Come on in, Roberto.
Hey, Egberto. Good afternoon, man.
Good afternoon, sir. Talk to me.
Allow me to make this introduction in 3 different ways. ¿Qué pasa, Laupe?
Todo está bien. ¿Qué me quieres contar? Amigo, eres panameño, ¿no?
Sí, tú sabes.
Okay, háblame.
I wanted to speak on the piece you did on Panama and on the Venezuela. This is what I've been saying exactly too. Is just for the main purpose of privatizing that oil,
right?
And just extracting all the goods they can out of it. And I forgot your show had moved to Tuesday. I was looking for you on Thursday.
Sorry about that, man. I need to say that more often.
Yes. Now, this is the other thing now, too. With this, thank God the shutdown is over temporarily for the 3 weeks. But I was saying, how come when there was a Republican Congress and a Republican Senate, this move never came?
Because it's a gimmick.
Never came.
It's a gimmick.
See, so it was all now to make the Democrats look awful in the sight of the people, but we know better, So with that being said, man, I just wanted to just elaborate on those little 2 points there. And, I'm going to be looking out for you on Tuesdays now that I remember you on Tuesdays again.
Thank you so kindly, hermano.
All right.
Muchas gracias. Tómalo con calma. ¿Está bien?
Okay.
Ciao. Okay, let's go to MOD number 1. Come on in, MOD.
Hello.
Hello, you're on.
Do I have more than 30 seconds, Roberto?
You have more than 30 seconds, MOD.
It seems like a common, cliche, doesn't it, where we have imperial hegemony going on in these, Central and South American revolutions.
Yes, it is. You're absolutely right, sir.
Yeah, man. So it seems like, if Venezuela has gold and they have oil, and to whatever degree or quality or purpose of their resources, it seems like the U.S. does pretty good at installing colored revolutions or coup d'etats or soft, cultural engineering. All these things I'm not going to spit off, but I think Venezuela is primed for the highest bidder to come in. Sort of like what's going on in, let's say, Syria, Qatar, all these other Middle Eastern countries, and these Central Americas. Could it be, Alberto, that we got the people of Venezuela down to nothing? Now they're easy pickings to the highest bidder. And that what was Bolton said last week? Putin's in the hemisphere. He's down there in Venezuela.
Right. Everybody's in Venezuela. Putin is in Venezuela.
The U.S. has come down to its point where its purpose is to deploy democracy. So when those asset resources are available, for countries like, Russia's in Syria, right? And
yes,
there's no problem. They're living fine. The U.S. NATO bases surround all the routes for ISIS.
Right.
So I'm going to try to get to a point that I think our job of late is to get these countries democratized, so the fight against any kind of imperial hegemony won't be there, and then we'll get people like China, because China has onus of Sudan now.
Right. I want to cut you there a second.
MOD. Middle East. What I'm going to finish with, Alberto, is they go through appointments that we don't talk about as it's boogeyman, but when you say foundation, those appointments, no big contracts, are being done, not at the theater of the public. So just think about that, okay?
Yeah. Let me. I want to push back on a very important concept for everybody to understand here. America wants. America preaches democracy. America does not believe in democracy neither at home or abroad. All right, that is a active fact. The truth of the matter is we don't have a democracy in the United States of America, but we have the figment of our imagination that says America has a democracy when you go to elections.
Okay, so
wait, I'm not done. Sir, I gave you
where we are here domestically.
MOD, I gave you an entire 4 minutes. Let me finish. Now, America is not a democracy. America is not even a representative republic.
Shut your mouth.
And then let me go further. Neither do we support representative democracies around the world. We rather work with dictators because we have one person in every entity to control and move it forward. So, MOD, I got to let you go because I got to close down the show, but thank you so kindly for constantly calling and for being a part of the show. Folks, let me tell you, I mean that. I don't mean that in hyperbole or anything that way, but I'm going to have to write a piece on why we're not a democracy pretty darn soon. I'm coming to the end of the show. I've got 20 seconds to go, and here's what I'd like to tell you. Thank you guys for listening to me. Fact check me. Whenever I make statements, I'm not asking you to listen to it blindly. I'm saying I'm here to serve you, and it is my responsibility to do what I do. My name is Egberto Willies, and this is Politics Done Right, and I am out!
Thank you very much for listening to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. You can personally reach me by sending an email to egberto@politicsdoneright.com. Remember, Egberto is spelled E-G-B-E-R-T-O. Change starts with you. 90.1 KPFT gives you information not tainted by corporate interest. Please visit kpft.org and contribute. Let's ensure continued access to real information and news remain available to all. Again, thank you very much for listening to Politics Done Right.